Picture this. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are creatures living in our oceans that look like they crawled out of a nightmare. Fish with teeth like needles and bodies that glow in the dark. Squid the size of school buses lurking in trenches deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Worms that feast on whale bones for decades. And the strangest part? The deeper we go, the more terrifying they become. We've mapped every crater on Mars. We've photographed galaxies billions of light years away. But our own ocean? We've barely scratched the surface. Less than 20% of it has ever been explored. We literally know more about the surface of the moon than what's happening 6 miles beneath our feet right here on Earth. Today, we're taking a journey into the abyss. We're going to descend through the ocean's layers, from the sunlit surface all the way down to the deepest trenches on our planet. And I promise you, what we find down there will change how you think about life itself. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're about to explore some of the most incredible mysteries our planet has to offer. Let's start at the surface, where everything seems normal. The ocean here is bright, warm, and teeming with familiar life. Dolphins leap through the waves. Schools of colorful fish dart between coral reefs. Whales breach the surface in massive displays of power. This is the sunlight zone, stretching down about 650 feet. Here, the sun's energy drives photosynthesis, creating the foundation for entire food webs. It's the ocean we know, the ocean we swim in, the ocean that feels safe and predictable. But drop just a little deeper, past that 650-foot mark, and everything changes. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. This is where our descent into weirdness truly begins. We're now in a realm that stretches down to about 3,300 feet, where the sun's rays grow weak and desperate. There's just enough light to see shadows, just enough to create an eternal dusk that never lifts. The familiar forests of surface plankton disappear. The vibrant colors fade to blues and grays. Food becomes scarce, drifting down from above like a gentle snowfall of death. Scientists call it marine snow. These tiny particles falling through the water column are the waste products and decomposing remains of creatures that lived and died in the bright world above. To us, it looks insignificant, almost beautiful in its slow descent. But to the creatures of the Twilight Zone, this marine snow is the difference between life and death. And life here has responded with some of the strangest adaptations on Earth. Many creatures in the Twilight Zone have chosen invisibility as their survival strategy. The glass squid drifts through the water like a living window, its organs barely visible against the dim blue backdrop. The glass octopus takes this transparency to an extreme, becoming so clear that only its eyes give away its presence. These creatures have essentially turned themselves into ghosts, phantoms that haunt the dim waters. But why transparency? Scientists are still debating this. It might be the ultimate camouflage, a way to disappear in that faint light that still filters down from above. Or perhaps it's about energy conservation. In a world where every calorie counts, why waste energy on pigments that serve no purpose? Other creatures have taken the opposite approach. Instead of becoming invisible, they've become living lanterns. In the permanent twilight, bioluminescence becomes a superpower. Through chemical reactions, these animals create their own light, turning their bodies into biological fireworks displays. But this isn't just pretty to look at. Every flash of light serves a purpose. Some creatures use it to hunt, dangling glowing lures to attract unsuspecting prey. Others use it to find mates in the vast darkness, like biological dating apps written in light. And some use it in the most clever way of all, to disappear. This trick is called counter-illumination, and it's genius in its simplicity. From below, predators can easily spot a dark silhouette against the faint glow filtering down from the surface. So creatures like the firefly squid cover their bellies with light-producing organs called photophores. They adjust the brightness to perfectly match the illumination coming from above, essentially erasing their shadow and vanishing into the background. They're using light to become invisible. The bloody bellycomb jelly takes this deception even further. It glows in deep red, a color that never penetrates to these depths. To most eyes down here, red light is invisible, making this jelly appear completely black. But here's the brilliant part. When bioluminescent prey gets trapped in its stomach, that telltale glow is hidden from predators that might otherwise detect it. It's like having a built-in black light filter. The Twilight Zone is also home to one of the most incredible spectacles in the natural world, though it remained hidden from human eyes for decades. Every single night, as darkness falls on the surface, something extraordinary happens. Billions of creatures begin to rise from the depths. Lanternfish, squid, jellies, and countless other species start a journey upward to feed on the plankton blooms near the surface under cover of darkness. At dawn, this enormous army retreats back to the depths, disappearing into the gloom. This is called diel vertical migration, and it's the largest migration on Earth. Not by distance, but by sheer numbers. More creatures participate in this daily journey than all the wildebeest crossing the Serengeti, all the birds flying south for winter, all the salmon swimming upstream combined. And yet, this massive movement remained a mystery until World War II. Naval sonar operators kept detecting what they called a false seafloor, a dense layer that rose every night and sank every morning. They thought their equipment was malfunctioning. What they were actually detecting was life, an entire invisible ecosystem moving in perfect synchronization, following rhythms older than civilization itself. But we're just getting started. As we continue our descent past 3,300 feet, that last faint glimmer of sunlight finally dies. We've entered the Midnight Zone. If the Twilight Zone felt alien, the Midnight Zone is like stepping onto another planet entirely. We're now in a realm that stretches down to about 13,000 feet, where darkness isn't just an absence of light, it's a physical presence that presses in from all sides. Temperatures hover just above freezing. The pressure is crushing, hundreds of times greater than what we experience at the surface. To human eyes, this seems like a place where nothing could survive. And yet, evolution has become most creative here, crafting creatures that seem to defy the laws of biology. Take the dragonfish. Unlike most deep-sea creatures, it can produce red bioluminescence. Remember how I mentioned that red light is invisible at these depths? The dragonfish has weaponized this fact. Its red glow acts like a private searchlight, illuminating prey without revealing itself to other predators. Even more remarkably, its eyes are specially adapted to see this hidden color. It's as if the dragonfish has invented its own secret wavelength, visible only to itself. Other predators here are masters of disappearance through different means. Some fish are cloaked in what scientists call ultra-black skin. This isn't just regular black, it's so efficient at absorbing light that it reflects less than 0.5% of what touches it. Even when a bright spotlight from a research submarine hits them directly, they seem to absorb the light and vanish. It's like they're made of living shadow. And then we have the anglerfish, perhaps the strangest hunters in all the ocean. The female dangles a bioluminescent lure in front of her massive mouth, like a fisherman with a glowing hook. Curious prey swim toward what they think is food, only to disappear into jaws lined with needle-sharp teeth. But the anglerfish's strangest adaptation isn't its hunting strategy, it's reproduction. In the vast darkness of the Midnight Zone, finding a mate is nearly impossible. So male anglerfish have evolved one of the most extreme mating strategies in the animal kingdom. They're born as tiny, weak creatures with one purpose: find a female. When a male finally locates a female, he doesn't just mate with her, he fuses with her body. Using specialized jaws, he latches onto her side. His body begins to deteriorate, his organs withering away until he becomes little more than a living sperm bank, permanently attached and nourished by her bloodstream. It sounds horrific to us, but it's a brilliant solution to the problem of finding love in an endless void. Not every creature here is an active predator. Many are scavengers and opportunists, waiting for food to rain down from above. When a whale dies in the surface waters and sinks to these depths, it becomes like an oasis in a desert. A single whale carcass can feed entire communities for decades, supporting complex ecosystems that spring up around the massive bounty. But here's what's truly mind-blowing about the Midnight Zone. Despite all our technology, all our deep-sea submersibles and robotic probes, what we know about this realm is still fragmentary. Scientists estimate that for every species we've documented, dozens remain unknown. Each dive brings back creatures never before seen by science. Fish with glowing eyes the size of dinner plates. Jellyfish with bodies so fragile they disintegrate when brought to the surface. Creatures that challenge our very understanding of what life can be. We're now 2.5 miles beneath the surface, and our journey into the abyss continues. But before we go deeper, I want you to pause for a moment and consider this. Everything we've seen so far, all these incredible adaptations and mysterious creatures, exist on the same planet we call home. They're sharing this world with us right now, living lives we can barely imagine in conditions that would kill us in seconds. If you're fascinated by these hidden worlds, make sure you're subscribed to our channel because we dive deep into mysteries like this every week. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an expedition into the unknown. Now let's continue our descent into even stranger territory. At about 13,000 feet, we leave the open water column and reach the seafloor of the abyssal plains. This is one of Earth's largest habitats, covering more than half our planet's surface. Yet it's also one of the least understood. Imagine a desert that stretches for thousands of miles in every direction. But instead of sand, it's made of fine mud and sediment. There are no landmarks here, no mountains or valleys, no forests or reefs. Just an endless flat expanse disappearing into the darkness. The temperature never rises above about 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Food is incredibly scarce. The pressure is crushing. And yet, life finds a way. One of the most puzzling adaptations we find here is gigantism. Many creatures of the abyss are enormous compared to their shallow water relatives. Giant isopods, which look like armored pillbugs, can grow to the size of small dogs. Amphipods, normally tiny shrimp-like creatures, can reach the length of a human hand. Even the legendary colossal squid, among the largest invertebrates on Earth, is thought to prowl these depths. Scientists call this phenomenon deep-sea gigantism, but nobody really knows why it happens. Some theories suggest that larger bodies conserve energy better in the cold. Others propose that being big provides protection in a world where predators are few and far between. The truth is, we're still guessing. When food does arrive in the abyss, it creates scenes of feeding frenzy unlike anything in the surface world. A dead whale sinking from above becomes a jackpot that can be seen for miles. Within hours, scavengers begin to gather. Sleeper sharks emerge from the void, their movements slow and deliberate. Hagfish arrive in writhing masses, boring into the carcass with rasping mouths. Giant amphipods swarm over the remains like underwater locusts. But the real specialists arrive later. Bone-eating worms called osedacs colonize the skeleton, feeding on oils locked inside the bones themselves. These worms can live for decades, slowly dissolving their massive host from the inside out. Entire ecosystems develop around a single whale fall, with different species taking over as the carcass progresses through various stages of decay. Other creatures have adapted to survive on much more meager meals. The vampire squid, despite its terrifying name, isn't a predator at all. It collects those drifting particles of marine snow using long, sticky filaments, like an underwater spider catching flies. Even in these oxygen-poor depths, it thrives using blood with the highest oxygen-carrying capacity of any known cephalopod. Life in the abyss moves at a different pace. Creatures grow slowly, reproduce rarely, and live for extraordinary lengths of time. The Greenland shark, which can hunt in these waters, may live over 400 years. Some specimens tested by scientists were already swimming in these depths when George Washington was born. Time itself seems dilated here, stretched out like the vast distances between meals. Yet even this seemingly empty desert teems with invisible life. Every grain of sediment harbors countless microbes. Recycling nutrients and maintaining food webs we're only beginning to understand. The abyssal plains remind us of Earth's true scale. They cover more territory than all the world's forests, grasslands, and deserts combined, yet remain largely unseen and unexplored. But our journey isn't over yet. There's one more realm to explore, one final frontier that pushes the very limits of what we think life can endure. Beyond the abyssal plains lie the ocean trenches, carved by tectonic forces into the planet's crust. These are the scars of Earth itself, places where one massive plate slides beneath another, dragging the seafloor down into unimaginable depths. Here begins what scientists call the hadal zone, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. The hadal zone starts at about 20,000 feet and plunges all the way down to the deepest known point on Earth, nearly 36,000 feet below the surface in the Mariana Trench. To put that in perspective, if you could somehow drop Mount Everest into the Mariana Trench, its peak would still be more than a mile underwater. The conditions here are beyond extreme. Temperatures remain near freezing. The pressure can exceed 1,100 times what we experience at sea level. To a human body, exposure to these conditions would be instantly fatal. The water itself would crush us like an empty soda can. And yet, life not only survives here, it thrives in ways that continue to astonish scientists. Among the most remarkable creatures are the snailfish that live at the very bottom of these trenches. They look impossibly delicate, with translucent, gelatinous bodies and skins so thin you can see right through them. They seem too fragile to exist in such a hostile environment, like soap bubbles somehow surviving at the bottom of the ocean. But these fragile-looking fish are actually perfectly adapted to their extreme home. They lack the rigid bones that would be crushed by the pressure. Instead, their bodies are reinforced with special proteins and molecules that keep their cells functioning under conditions that would destroy most life forms. They're the deepest living vertebrates ever discovered, thriving where no other fish can survive. Other inhabitants are smaller but equally extraordinary. Amphipods, those shrimp-like crustaceans we met earlier, swarm across the trench floors in huge numbers. Recent expeditions have made a disturbing discovery: plastic fibers inside their bodies, even at these most remote depths. It's sobering proof that human pollution has reached literally every corner of our planet, even places no human has ever seen. But perhaps the strangest life in the trenches exists at hydrothermal vents along the trench walls. Here, superheated water rich in chemicals spews from cracks in the Earth's crust. The water can reach temperatures of 750 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. You'd think nothing could live here, but you'd be wrong. Entire ecosystems thrive around these underwater geysers, based not on sunlight, but on chemistry. Bacteria feed on hydrogen sulfide, methane, and dissolved metals in the scalding water. These microscopic pioneers form the foundation of food webs that include tube worms growing 8 feet long, clams the size of dinner plates, and ghostly white crabs that have never seen sunlight. It's a world turned upside down, where the energy of life comes not from the sun, but from the planet's molten interior. These discoveries have revolutionized our understanding of life itself, showing us that biology can adapt to conditions we once thought impossible. And they've raised an intriguing question. If life can thrive in such extreme conditions here on Earth, could it also exist in the hidden oceans of other worlds? Icy moons like Europa and Enceladus harbor vast seas beneath their frozen surfaces, kept liquid by internal heat rather than sunlight. Studying the creatures of the hadal zone gives us clues about what we might find in those alien oceans. Yet despite their importance to our understanding of life in the universe, the ocean trenches remain almost entirely unexplored. Fewer people have visited the bottom of the Mariana Trench than have walked on the surface of the moon. Each expedition brings back creatures that challenge everything we thought we knew about biology. Translucent sea cucumbers drift through the water like living parachutes. Gelatinous blobs with no clear anatomy pulse through the darkness. Microbes with metabolisms unlike anything else on Earth. For centuries, humans imagined the deepest ocean as a lifeless void, a silent grave beneath the waves. What we've found instead is resilience, creativity, and life that refuses to give up. But for all we've discovered, the deep ocean remains fundamentally mysterious. More than 80% of our planet's ocean has never been explored. Each dive, each robotic expedition brings back creatures that seem to belong in science fiction rather than reality. Transparent fish that glow like living X-rays. Worms that create their own light shows. Jellyfish that break every rule we thought governed animal life. Even among the species we do know, so much remains unsolved. Why do so many deep-sea creatures grow to enormous sizes? The giant isopods, the colossal squids, the amphipods the length of a human hand. Scientists have theories but no definitive answers. Why do others become nearly invisible, or cloak themselves in that ultra-black skin that seems to swallow light itself? Why have some evolved to see colors that don't exist at their depth, while others have given up sight entirely? The greatest mystery might be bioluminescence itself. Nearly 3/4 of deep-sea life can produce its own light, yet the purposes vary wildly. Hunting, hiding, mating, communicating, or simply surviving. We still can't fully explain how so many species evolved such complex biochemical systems, or why some glow in colors no other animal can perceive. There are deeper puzzles still. How do creatures find mates in the endless darkness? How do they navigate without landmarks? How do they know when to migrate, when to feed, when to reproduce? Some deep-sea animals live for centuries, but we don't know how they measure time in a world without seasons, without day and night. Recent discoveries have only deepened the mysteries. Scientists have found creatures that seem to violate basic principles of biology. Fish that survive being frozen solid. Bacteria that eat rocks. Animals that can essentially live forever by resetting their biological clocks. Every answer we find seems to generate 10 new questions. Every species we catalog reveals gaps in our knowledge we didn't even know existed. The deep ocean doesn't just challenge our understanding of marine biology, it forces us to reconsider what life itself can be. And perhaps that's what makes these discoveries so powerful. In an age when we feel like we've mapped every corner of our world, when satellite imagery shows us every mountain and valley, the deep ocean reminds us that Earth still holds secrets. Profound secrets that could reshape our understanding of life, evolution, and our place in the universe. Think about it. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are creatures living in our oceans that we haven't even discovered yet. Species that might hold keys to medical breakthroughs, to understanding aging, to developing new technologies. Life forms that could teach us about survival in extreme conditions, about adaptation and resilience. The deep ocean is like having an alien world right here on our own planet. Every expedition is like landing on a distant planet, encountering life forms that stretch our imagination and challenge our assumptions. The transparent squid drifting through eternal twilight. The anglerfish with its grotesque mating ritual. The snailfish thriving under pressure that would crush steel. These aren't just curiosities to marvel at. They're reminders that life is far more creative, far more resilient, and far more mysterious than we ever imagined. They show us that in the most unlikely places, under the most extreme conditions, life finds a way not just to survive, but to thrive and even to create beauty. The deep ocean also reminds us of our responsibilities. These creatures have survived for millions of years in their hidden world, but they're not immune to human impact. We've already found plastic in the deepest trenches. Climate change is altering ocean chemistry. Deep-sea mining threatens to destroy habitats before we even understand them. We stand at a crossroads. We can choose to protect these mysterious realms, to study them with respect and wonder, or we can allow them to be destroyed before we ever truly know what we're losing. The choice is ours, but the window for making it won't stay open forever. As we surface from our journey into the abyss, we carry with us images that will haunt our dreams and ignite our imaginations. The deep sea has shown us that our planet is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever knew. It's reminded us that mystery still exists in our world, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to venture into the darkness. But our exploration doesn't have to end here. If this journey into the deep has sparked your curiosity about the hidden worlds that surround us, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We're constantly diving into the mysteries that lie just beyond our everyday experience, from the smallest microbes to the largest galaxies. Hit that notification bell, because who knows what incredible discoveries we'll explore together next. The ocean has kept its secrets for millions of years, but slowly, dive by dive, we're beginning to uncover them. And trust me, what we find next will be even more incredible than what we've seen today. The deep-sea creatures get creepier the deeper we go, not because evolution is trying to frighten us, but because it's trying to solve the puzzle of survival in the most challenging conditions on Earth. Every bizarre adaptation, every impossible creature, Every glowing light in the darkness is a testament to life's incredible creativity. We may never fully understand all the mysteries of the deep, but that's what makes them so compelling. In a world where we think we know everything, the ocean depths remind us that wonder is always just one dive away.